Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
What do you get when you mix two white boys, both named Mike? A thing for Justin Timberlake and a piercing above your eye. Was he high? Their stories alone could make you cry. That's when you want to make your Irish goodbye.
I guess take it away.
I just wanted to do a visual hello.
I was curious to see who Alex would open on or if it would be a two-shot like this, but she just decided Mike was opening the show today.
I suppose so. Me and my milky white arms. I feel so insecure seeing the shade of them on this camera.
Now, you got the bad lighting for once.
Yeah.
This is
No,
all right. I
it's
don't mind
pretty
this.
it's pretty regular.
I look like I'm airbrushed. Look at this. I don't have one wrinkle on my face.
You look like that looks like a best man shirt.
This?
You know, like everybody else has kind of the plain version, but then you got the stripes like you, me, and Dupree.
I see myself like an Italian race car driver in this.
Yeah, okay. I can see
You
that.
should see me on the BQE just then.
Fiat drag racing.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Irish Goodbye Podcast, a storytelling podcast. I'm one of your hosts, back from the dead, Mike Feeney, being joined with me, as always.
Like currently dead Mike Cannon.
Oh, no!
Currently dead. I'm in. I've had a whirlwind of a 48 hours, my friend, and I capped it off by eating Wendy's on the Palisades Parkway heading down here, and I've never felt worse.
I'm excited to hear about
I feel like one of Sagalow's tweets.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
That bad.
It's dark. It's dark, and I'm serious.
I just want to add a quick update to a story that I told 2 weeks ago because people have. So I told that story about getting double pulled over with my buddy and I when we were going like a $1.15 or a $1.25 in a or whatever it was. What was he going? 155? Whatever he was
He
going.
was doing a high mile per hour.
Oh, in a 55, whatever it was, regardless. So one of my friends who was in the other car that got pulled over reminded me of a very, very important point to the story, which was that in their car, they were quickly trying to hide all the alcohol that they had, all the beer cans and the open containers. They were like shuffling and putting them and moving them away. So that added to the element of that story. And that's...
It's like almost incredible how unsympathetic you get episode by episode. Like you somehow found a way.
I've cheated death time and time again.
And self-inflicted death.
Well, who knows?
Well, I do, because you said you had alcohol in the car.
Now, I will, speaking of death, because I want to hear your Philly thing, but I'll go a little retroactive if you don't mind. And
No,
talk
please,
about my experience why I missed last week's podcast. As we know, I went and got the COVID vaccine, and so
The J&J.
the Johnson & Johnson one.
2 dicks.
Comedian Casey Balsham, former guest, lover, she told me where she got the Johnson & Johnson one, because most of them are like you show up and you don't know what you're going to get, so good luck. And this one, she was like, this was the exact place that I got it, so you should try going here. So I look up the address, I find it, I get an appointment for Erica and I. We're going the next day. It's only afterwards that I realize, oh my God, it's in Brownsville, which, first off, if people don't know Brownsville, Brooklyn, it's one of the only, like, people that thought of Brooklyn before Brooklyn became, now everyone when you say Brooklyn, people think Williamsburg. But back when you would think of Brownsville, like, that used to be old Brooklyn. That was like... People getting shot, people getting stabbed. That's still Brownsville. Brownsville, East New York.
It's kind of a racist name, but they named it before.
Yeah, it's true. Brownsville, East New York, and the Bronx and parts of the Bronx are like the three places that old New York City still exists in terms of very violent, regular crime that's happening. So we have to go to Brownsville, but
now that's just Chelsea. Like now that's everywhere. You walk around Manhattan and it's just unmedicated maniacs that are just threatening headbutts and, trying to grab your dick.
So we're driving in Brownsville, and immediately you're starting to go, you're realizing again this it's the least, I guess, the least surprising thing in the planet, but just the disparity between how the city treats, neighborhoods where it's 99% people of color versus other areas. Like I was even saying, even the left turn lane it has that, it always on the ground, it always has the big arrow and then it says like left only. And the only thing that was visible was the N and the L in the only. And the others had just worn off years ago and never been repainted.
There's a reason why cops are speeding through Brownsville with their sirens on, and it's not to stop crime, it's to blow through every light to get the fuck out of Brownsville.
Yeah. So it is, whatever, it's a tough area, but we're getting a shot at a police precinct, at a community center that they have to, for like underprivileged youth to try and get them off streets and stuff like that.
Like yourself.
Yeah, like me. So that I'm not like, and it's also 11 a.m. So it's not like we're going at 9 at night or something where I wasn't actually worried at all. I just was like, oh shit, like the area, especially the area that we were in is like, there's just like fiberglass and garbage all over the sidewalks and stuff. So we're on this line, we have an appointment, but the line ends up being 2 hours long. And so as we're waiting in line, we're getting closer, but we're on a sidewalk and there's, apartment buildings next to it. And there's just a long fucking line of people waiting. And outside one of the apartments, it was like not a basement apartment, but it was like a ground floor apartment that kind of dipped down. You'd have to like walk a couple steps down into it, like a sunken in one. And there's, at one point in the line, Eric and I are standing there and we just hear someone just yelling at the top of their lungs. And I do a thing where I look over and there's a woman banging on the window, filming us, pointing at it, being like, fucking white people. And then she's like recording on her phone, just being like, they don't believe us. Like she's like screaming. I don't know what she's screaming about.
They don't believe it. Oh,
yeah,
no.
but she's like and then Eric and I are like, okay, because we can't get off the line. We can't move forward to get out of her vision. So we're just taking this verbal assault.
But I get why it's aimed at you. Because you are,
but I also have a hoodie on. I'm wearing sweatpants.
That
I'm like
cloaks you from reality.
yeah.
But Erica looks. I mean, she could be Dominican.
Yeah,
for all they know.
When she's tan, people are confused. But they're just screaming at us, like hitting it. She's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like screaming, banging on the thing. Which I'm like, wish I could. And so we're doing that thing. We're just slowly moving up, like an inch at a time. Like, could you guys actually just move up, just like even a foot would be great, And then the next people behind us are getting screamed at, and we're like, Jesus. And you're just sitting there, it's so terrifying. So we go all the way around. 2 hours later, we're finally about to get into the building. And there was this man in front of us this whole time. He was an Indian man, and middle-aged Indian man in front of us. And all of a sudden, another Indian man and like a Spanish, not teenager, but maybe like a 20-year-old or something, comes on and joins the guy, right, in the line. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking maybe this guy does a thing where, he was waiting on the line while they were in the car the whole time.
He's a middle-aged Indian TaskRabbit.
Yeah, he's a line holder sort of a thing. So I go, I don't give a shit. And he's talking to them. So we're like, whatever. So then the guy turns back to me and he's like, just to let you know, they're not with me. And Erica and I go like, oh, okay, we're all going in, so it's fine. Basically being like, that moment hits, and then a couple seconds go by, and I go, wait, really? Are they really not with you? And he goes, no, they're not with me. They're trying to cut the line, and like screams that out loud. And he screams it out loud so loud that the other Indian man gets like spooked and walks off the line and walks to the back of his line. Don't say it, what you want to say. That was the tightest pursed lip I've ever seen you do, and good for you for growing.
That's the old me. That's the old me. Moved on, fella. I'm here to tell you, I just got a show on Nickelodeon.
I set that up like leaves over a trap.
How dare you trying to just put a juicy steak in the middle of an empty room that I'm walking into?
So he he goes off the line. Now the other teenage kid is like trying to talk to me and empathize, and he goes, yeah, I didn't know this line was going to be this crazy. I got a midterm today and stuff like that. And I go, but you're not with him? And he goes, no. And I just immediately go, oh, well, no. And just literally move him to the side. I'm like, you're not cutting us. Or we just waited 2 hours in line. I don't give a fuck about your midterms. So I move him to the side and I move up forward. And then he gets right behind us in the line. Now, here's my question to you, Michael. What would you do in that situation? Because I am now mad that this guy is here. Although Erica's trying to calm me down, and she's like, It doesn't. Is it not affecting us?
Yeah.
He's not cutting us. We're still getting there when we got to get there. This is the other people behind you's problem. And I noticed the woman behind me was like a white woman, and she's very like, was in her phone, was quiet. But then behind.
Well, you've had it harder.
Yeah, but it was like, so I'm getting mad, and I'm like, I don't think she knows. Like, I want to tell her. And there's also like 4 like comedically fun, like older black women that are in the line behind the white women that have just been like a riot and so fun talking the entire time. And I'm like, if they'd found out that this dude is cutting, like just the scene would be totally worth just watching him get eviscerated and kicked off the line. So I'm trying to do a thing where I'm like, I'm giving eyes to the people. I'm like, who's this guy? I never noticed him, Like, no one's picking up on it. Erica goes, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. And I sat there and didn't fucking say anything, but it was driving me crazy. But would it not drive you crazy?
Yeah, of course it would. I also thought this was gonna be that. Like, I thought you were gonna white maestro your way into setting an entire scene of violence amongst people that like would do your bidding for you.
Well, that's what I was hoping to do, but Erica, again, that was the plan. But Erica cut me off, and she was like, "It's not affecting you." And I'm like,
Right.
You know what? Whatever. It is true.
You know what I would have said to that is, well, it's affecting you because I'm ready to divorce you. I'm so mad.
Yeah.
This is now a dark cloud over my head, and I can't focus on any sunshine whatsoever with this.
And I hate that he doesn't have to wait 2 hours like we did. So we get in there, and I'm still mad
That's
about
the confidence of youth.
Yeah, yeah. And he
might
just
as well.
immediately, he was so smart. He just went right back into his phone,
him.
stared at his shoes.
Honestly, and I think about the balls that it takes to step in front of you, and then it's just like, well, that spot's filled.
Yeah.
Just moving half a notch right behind. I mean, that's like, you almost have to tip your cap.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. And I eventually talked to the woman behind me once, like, we got, like, inside, and she was like, I had no idea that to that guy. I didn't know what you guys were talking about. She's like, then she was pissed. I'm like, yeah! But
now your day's ruined.
Yeah, it sucks, right? So I go in there, I give this guy, the police officer, my license and everything, and he looks at it and he goes, Astoria? He goes, the only people that are allowed to live in Astoria are Greek people. And I'm like, everybody says that. I go, He's like, or comedians. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah, all the stand-up comedians live in Astoria. And I go, I'm a stand-up comedian. And he goes, oh yeah. He like looks at my license and does like, oh yeah. He goes, yeah. He goes, I listen to a ton of comedy podcasts. And I'm like, whatever podcast you listen to, I've been on, because I know all the Astoria comics, and we've all done each other's podcasts, so you've heard me before at some point. And then he starts doing, like, we're just talking about comedy, which is so funny, because now, like, people are going around me in the line, so now people are actually getting in front of me, so I'm like, all right, if I could just take the license back, and I try to go in, and then I go, and this is St. Patrick's Day, by the way, so I go up in to get the shot. I had an officer named O'Leary who was like, couldn't be less excited to be spending his St. Patty's Day giving shots in people's arms. Like, he was literally texting on his phone when I walked up, and I'm like, hey, how are you? And he just goes...
Probably muttering in between, like, I wouldn't if I were you.
Yeah, so he starts swabbing my arm, and I'm not a big needle guy. I'm not going to be like, have one of those things where I'm going to pass out, but I'd like a little bedside manner if possible.
Sure.
So the guy's just in silence, just wiping it and getting ready to plunge it in.
Yeah.
And so I force bedside manner upon him, and I go, so how many of these have you done today? And he just goes, a lot.
Yeah.
And I go, how many? And then he just is like, about 100, and then just stabs it into me, which immediately felt like fire down my entire arm, which is a precursor to the next, 24 hours of my life, which was fighting for my life, because I got every symptom at like 11 p.m.
Well, could you imagine? Let me empathize with the person giving a shot real quick.
Yeah.
I understand.
He's a police officer, by the way, giving
That's
out
hilarious.
shots.
Not trained in that whatsoever,
No.
I'm sure. But I also wouldn't want to make small talk with every single person coming in. The amount of people that are probably trying to, shoot the shit with Officer O'Leary.
Yeah.
It's just like, I did this for the first 20.
Right.
It's like I've expired my social ability.
Well, and people were like, oh, they're like, I heard the other police officers talking to each other in there as they're like, courting people to the line, and they go, how many people do you think outside? And someone's like, I don't know, like probably like 50 people. And it was that thing where I was like, there's like 600 people outside. Like,
it's like Kevin with the jelly beans in the office.
Yeah.
It's like 9.
Yeah.
Like, you're an accountant.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. And then, I've talked about this, briefly or whatever, but just that, it started at 11 p.m. and it just, what they tell you when you're going to get the vaccine is, hey, you might experience a headache, flu symptoms, aches, chills, fever. What they don't say is you're going to experience all of them in its most extreme form at the same time for 24 uninterrupted hours.
Yeah.
So I felt like death, but I came back the other side of it. And I've never had a sickness where I purposefully was sick and then also knew on the other side of this, I know roughly when it's going to end, which you never know, and also being like, and when it's over, I'm going to be able to do whatever the fuck I want.
And the exciting part is in 6 months, you'll have a tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody will be able to see when we're excited.
So I felt, but I do feel I am back to normal now, which felt good. I was sorry I had to miss the episode, but I heard it was a good one. And how's your experience? You look a little worn down.
Yeah, I have to talk slow and give a minimum amount of energy right now because I might throw up, and I have no idea what that's from. Like, I think it's from the Wendy's because it all went really south once I had that, and then I smoked outside before the episode, and it just exacerbates. I'm getting ahead of myself. So yesterday, it's and try as I might, I was not able to reschedule my second dose. And here we are shilling for the government. I can just picture the YouTube comments of just people being like, "It's the mark of the beast," all that shit. Who gives a fuck? Stab it in your forehead. Nobody's telling you to do it. Who cares, right?
Sure. I was like, if we get more than 3 of those comments, I get
a bunch of DMs just because of my past.
Right. Yeah.
My dark past on Rabbit Hole. I get quite a few DMs of people just being like, "You said you'd never do this."
Yeah.
Well, it was a different time.
Yeah.
I have to work.
I also didn't know I wouldn't be allowed on planes again. So
earn a living, follow my dream, everything like that.
Yeah.
It's all about to go away.
Yeah.
But so. Yeah, I couldn't. Did I tell the story about how I tried after the first dose? Because immediately I got the card and it gives you your second appointment. You have no discussion or when you can do it. It's just this is the day. And so it was the 24th, which I have had scheduled as Philly Helium. And I knew there was symptoms that come along with the second shot. So I was trying to call. I got a number that day. I went to the help desk and they gave me this thing. They're like, "Oh, why'd you even wait? Like, here's this thing. Call this number. It's super easy." I call the number and, like, I'm not exaggerating at all. It was the dumbest living creature on earth on the other end. Like, for real, to the point where I actually felt bad and ended the conversation because I was like, there's nothing we can even connect on as people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to do this thing. I was trying to reschedule it. He was like, "I can cancel it." I was like, Don't ever, please. Like, that's the last thing I want you to do.
Don't ever.
Yeah, and he's like, I can confirm you. And I'm like, and he starts reading me down the list of like, do I like fit in the thing? Like, should I be able to get it? And I'm like, I did this today. I got the first shot. This part is over.
Right.
Please, can I reschedule the 24th? And he's like, "So what are you doing this weekend?" Literally asked me what I was doing during the weekend. And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Hey, man, it's all good. Have a great weekend." Like, figure. He's like, I have to read this last thing to you. And I was like, I can't sit here while you learn to read.
Right.
I can't do it. So I was like, all right, goodbye. And I think he was like, trying to get through a fucking page.
Talk about being less sympathetic every episode, huh, folks?
I mean, you know what? I was really, I was a piece of shit that day, but that's also over the phone, so there's no real human,
Oh,
It's
people
just
on the phone aren't human working? All right.
It's just a voice. You don't necessarily see them or feel that they're people, Does that make sense? Do you ever feel that way? Do you ever feel when you're talking to somebody and you just hear the audio? And I guess that's how people view us, just listening to us every week.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
We're not real people. That actually makes so much sense, the way you guys kind of talk to us.
You're nitpicking on like 6 terrible people that tweet at us versus the 50 that are like...
I mean, no. There's so much more than 50. I'm just, I'm in, poison. There's poison in my body right now.
Wendy's.
Yeah. It's Wendy's. It's 100% Wendy's.
So what happened? So you go to Philly.
So, yeah, that guy, I'm certain killed himself by the end of that day accidentally.
Yeah.
And I just never called back because I assume it's just more of the same. It's just, it's volunteers that are trying to work during this time. Completely understand it. I'm not going to overload the system. So I was just like, fuck it. I'll roll the dice. I'll get the shot on on the 24th. If I pass out in the front row, might be a dope clip. Like, I'll subtitle it. I'll just go, doosh, doosh, doosh.
Thwack.
Yeah, just my head fucking Hillary swanking right on the front table. So, I was just like, whatever, we'll figure it out. Nicole, of course, has the same day appointment as well, which, should... For you guys, it's fine because you have a dog, which is not a baby, but we have a baby, and I was also going to be on the road, so Nicole was going to be left to her own devices, potentially feeling sick. We didn't know what was going to happen. So we both get it. In and out, Javits Center, super quick. I have to pick up Brendan also because we're taking him to, we're both going to Philly, and I didn't want to come back into the city and all do that shit. So we get him. He finally bonds with Crew. Crew, laughed at, some doof. Oh, he did the triangle face. Have you seen Brendan's little thing where
He's trying to do the Grinch.
Right.
He carries the Grinch.
Well, it's funny. He calls it a triangle face, but his face is so round, it's just a rhombus.
Yeah. An oblate spheroid.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
I haven't thought of that in 12th grade, since 12th grade. What'd you say?
Go back
An
to...
obloid spheroid? Obla spheroid?
Alex, what do you talk on mic if you're going to... I hear her trying to say it in the
I
back.
was trying to figure out. I heard you say oblate spheroid.
Oblong spheroid.
No, not oblong. Oblate, I think
oblate.
it is.
Oblate.
Now I'm not sure what I said or what it's supposed to be. Alex, look it up. It's what the Earth is. Yeah, give it a deeper.
No, the Earth.
Oblate.
The Earth is
An oblate spheroid is a
Oblate.
famous shape. I don't know if that's how you...
That's what the Earth is shaped. It's not actually round.
shape of
It's
the
an
Earth.
oblate spheroid.
And some
That's
other
right.
planets.
Anyway, so you have to go with, Brendan's got triangle face.
So Brendan's got triangle face. Crew finally looks at him as a person, laughs at him a little bit, terrified half the ride, fine the rest.
Putting videos up of him for content.
Yeah, of course, without my permission.
He does that with my dog and my cat. I saw him. He went in my bedroom the other day and was filming and I'm like, there's just shit everywhere in my bed. Like, my bedroom's dirty. And he was like, oh, you're such a, no one knows it's your bedroom. I'm like,
I do.
Yeah.
Every time. Every time I know it's, where else would he be?
yeah. Unbelievable.
He takes a picture of the other pets.
Yeah.
But, so... Yeah, and he never asks. Half of his bits from his first hour. My decision to have a child has given him comedy.
Yeah,
life.
he's talked about you a lot without
Quite a bit.
any so much as a credit or even mentioning your name. At least you could do the Nate Bargatze, like my friend Lewis is a crazy. But instead
it's always negative.
Yeah.
Who raises a kid in the city?
So I have some dumb fucking kid a guy that I know.
So whatever. We then take the drive up to Philadelphia. It's fun. It's a good time. Sunsada, I think I stayed at. Did you stay in that hotel?
I didn't stay. I came. That was Julie and I came back that night.
Oh, okay.
And then I came back the other night too.
So I was considering. Usually I drive back the same night in Philly
it's like 70
too.
minutes.
Yeah, it was really quick. But I knew that I was going to be fucked up.
Second dose, sure.
Who knows? Or at least just they offered it. I was like, I might as well take them up on it. If I don't want to stay, I can bounce.
Right.
So we have a cheesesteak at, what is that place?
Cleavers.
Great
cheesesteak place. It was also National Cheesesteak Day, but it was that's more of an artisanal cheesesteak. It's more they got the seeded bun.
Was I wrong? I got whiz and onions? Is that bad?
That's what you
the
do.
Thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
whiz and wit.
The waitress was the most Philly broad I've ever met in my entire life.
How many teeth missing?
She had a shield that was pulled up as a baseball brim and a mask that was kind of just plugged up one nostril.
Yeah,
she couldn't care less. She looked like she's hurling fish at the docks.
Yeah.
Like she has those
Looks
type
like
of knuckles.
She's power bombed somebody through a table at a tailgate.
Yeah, 100%. She's Bill's Mafia'd 1 million times. So she's cool as shit, though. Gives us the thing. It's a delicious meal. Of course, Brendan again films me without my consent. We go back to the hotel. We take a little nap, the two of us.
That's cute.
Which is
it's
fun.
A post-cheesesteak nap.
Oh, it was nice.
Just you
first,
holding your stomach and just laying there.
Oh, there's a lot of bad decisions that have gone on the last few days. I just realized that Wendy's is on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not doing myself any favors. So I'm fine at this point, right? I'm not feeling anything. I'm feeling we were a little high, so I was like, I don't know if I'm just, a little cloudy from this or the vaccine, trying to almost convince myself that I was feeling something.
Right.
It is that Brendan explained it like this, but be it the shitty feeling is almost like you're about to trip. on mushrooms.
Yes,
like
that
you're at the
almost. Yeah.
that part that eventually goes away. It turns into yawns, and then you see God.
Yeah.
But so we take a nap. At first, we got a hotel we got a room just with a king bed, which I tried to get 2 beds right away. I made sure that was the thing.
Sure.
I was like, whatever, dude. He was like, I'll sleep on the couch. I was like, yeah, have at it. I'll take I don't care.
Yeah.
Sure. And then he's like, should I like call down and see if there's, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it. I don't like that type of confrontation. It's like the only confrontation I don't like sorting out.
Yeah.
And so he did, to his credit, got us a room with 2 beds. We napped separately. It was very nice. We go to the comedy club. So now you're selling like tables, right? It's not individual tickets.
Right.
So at minimum, it's like 2 people per table. You know, mostly it's like even maybe 3 or 4, some pods come, all that shit. So we sold whatever it was. I forget what I sold in terms of tables, but it was pretty good. Like they were like, this is great for a Wednesday. It's going to be a fun show, blah, blah, blah. It's pouring in Philly.
Yeah,
So
it was pouring yesterday.
I mean, while we were driving, I was like, Brendan's, looking at his phone and scrolling and doing everything to not
Barely
be
paying
engaged. And I'm like trying my best to guide us to safety. It's insane, dude. And it was coming down so fucking hard. And
He's tweeting, I'm sitting next to some dumb fuck that's driving in the rain. Still want to kill myself.
Wildly disrespectful. We're having like a heart-to-heart. He's like, worst conversation I've ever had on a road trip.
Doesn't it suck when you're stuck in a car with another comic and he won't shut up about his stupid kid?
Yeah, it's like, we don't care about your mistake.
Yeah.
Somehow he adds that noise.
Yeah.
So
You take the nap.
we take the nap, we get to the show, and we get there early or whatever. Lemaire, do you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was hosting, really funny
Great.
dude. Lemaire Lee. He I think he used to produce Shane's pod.
Okay.
Is Matt and Shane's secret podcast. I think he joined. I don't know. Whatever. He's hilarious. He's a funny comic. He was hosting, and we're just hanging out in the green room, having a good time. And then I kind of look out, and it's like 40% of the tables that were bought, and then the manager comes in the back and he's like, yeah, like an odd amount of people called to say they're not coming because of the rain.
Oh my God.
I was like,
and that's the thing with comedy where you go, you never know if rain could either be incredible for comedy or terrible, because if it's people, can't do anything outside, so they're stuck to go inside, but they have to have the motivation to leave their apartment or house, and that's the issue.
Well, and it's also, I kind of understand it, right? Because if conditions are perfect, it's like, all right, I'm going to get out of the house. Like, I'm going to go comedy. People might be reluctant.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of my fans are frightened people, much like me.
Sure.
So, I assume that, like, if things aren't perfect and it's raining, they're like, I have an excuse. I'm not going to go.
Sure.
Totally get that. But it just so happened that a lot of them did that on the exact same night, which is whatever, because it was still a great show. Lemaire did well. Brendan did well. I did well. And it was so fun. And then after the show, we're like jacked up a little bit, having a good time. And we smoked on the side over there. And then, like, as soon as I smoked, Brendan and I split like a 90 milligram edible as well.
Sure.
Didn't hang out, didn't drink, which is like one of the worst parts about being sober. It's like you just
there's nothing to do.
There's just nothing to do, and like the manager and a couple of the staff were like boozing, and they're like, "You guys want a shot? Want a beer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, more than anything." But no, I'm gonna go. It's like, I can't. So whatever. I also was like, I'm starting to feel a little like I feel weird, but I'm just high, and I'm like, I got my second dose today, so I'm gonna go crash, and totally cool, whatever. We walk, and we go to CVS. I get like this giant jug of pretzels with the peanut butter on the inside, like pretzel pockets.
Those. Yeah,
that's the best snack you could possibly get, because otherwise I'm gonna get like 14 different ones.
It's only the best snack if you have the world's largest drink to accompany that. Because if you're eating those dry, you might as well be in the desert for 40 days.
Well, Brendan is adorable, because I buy these like 2 huge water jugs, and I'm like, I don't know, should I get a third one? Brendan like filled a Dipsy cup.
He never drinks
cup,
water.
And he's like, yeah, this is great. I'll get a Gatorade too. And I'm like, that's water.
Yeah. Dr. Pepper counts, right?
It's got water molecules.
Yeah.
So we get back to the hotel, and like right as I get in the hotel, my body falls apart. I feel like a 95-year-old man.
Oh, fuck.
My hips instantly go, and I'm like creaking around, and I'm like, shit, dude. I was like, I haven't like felt this fucked up since like after snowboarding.
Right.
And I was just like, you know,
Achy.
almost like trying to move about. And I was like, let me shower, like, you know, get a warm shower or whatever. So I take the shower. I'm still achy, and then I get out, and I'm freezing cold. Like a tundra wind at 70 miles per hour hit me the moment I turned off the shower, and I'm like trying to get dressed while pulling my boxer briefs up my body, and Brendan's like, what's going on over there? And I'm like, I'm just having a tough time, dude.
Which, by the way, we didn't even mention, Brendan got the Johnson & Johnson shot the day before, and because of the constant and horrific poison he puts into his body, felt zero symptoms from it. Just did a cartwheel out of there, feeling totally fine. But that
he's like Mr. Burns. He has every disease, and they all counteract each other.
Dude, it's a beautiful symbiotic balance. And dude, the freezing, the shivering, Erica and I were under a sheet, a goose down blanket, and 2 additional blankets, and we're still, and like Jeet laying on top of them, like warming, like weighting it down, and we were still shivering, absolutely, and then sweating profusely.
So add that to my propensity to getting cold when I'm on an edible. So I also took an edible,
right?
And I'm just like, I'm like half convulsing, like it's like tough, right? So I'm like throwing on my clothes, and I just get under the covers, and we turned on, I guess, South Park or something like that on Comedy Central, and then Daily Show comes on, and Brendan's like, oh, this is a hard follow, and I was like, yeah, you're right, but you know, I haven't watched the Daily Show probably since Trevor Noah took over.
Right.
Like, you know, I watched maybe a few clips here and there, all that stuff. Love Michael Costa. I love most of the people that work there. You know, they're fellow comics. Yeah. So, but I'm watching, and this is like the at-home thing, and it's a fucking middle school production. It's crazy,
it's a
dude.
webcam.
I mean, I'm sure Trevor Noah is hilarious. He's nice. He's everything that I should say to continue to get work in this business. But like,
I'll say those things.
It's crazy, dude. What passes as the show and like the comedy, and it's like, is that what people are? That's the pure comedy. That's what people are driving everybody into. Where you're like, you can't make these jokes or these jokes or these jokes, so you got to kind of funnel into this, and that's the product. Yeah. Is this the ultimate? Where it's like, this passes every morality test.
It's like
this
snarkily,
is the pure.
It's snarkily reading headlines.
It's not even that, man. It's like it was a talking to. I was getting a talking to. I said that to Brendan, and we are high off our dicks, so we're like seeing through it, you know, and all that bullshit. But it was so weird, and then the guest came on, and it was like a work party conversation that you'd want to kill yourself during.
Right, yeah.
Like,
how do I get out of this?
Dude, we were watching, and I'm like, I can't believe we're watching 2 uninteresting people have a bad conversation. Like, and we kept it on just to hate watch it, and I want to have an educated opinion about stuff that I don't like, so I just jam it down my throat nonstop. But I was just like, and who knows, might be an anomaly. Maybe it's the best show of all time, but this is a bad episode. But I was, dude, I literally
shaking your head no.
I literally I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
Pretty
dude.
rough, man. It's pretty rough.
It's so fucking rough, and it's like, all the stuff that they talk about, I'm like, fundamentally I agree with, but that doesn't mean I think it's funny at all.
It's supposed to be a comedy.
There's
show.
like, it was a half hour of rape statistics and like hardcore, like, this is what women go against, and it's like, yeah, but what?
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening? Like, why are you doing this to me? What's going on? And who's watching this and being like, I feel like my perception of the world has been misguided, and I shouldn't treat women this way.
Yeah.
Let me just see. I don't know. Maybe let me just put on Trevor Noah to see what he has to say about something. And it's like, oh, I'm changed.
Alex, what were you going to say?
I've noticed that they even have trouble finding like one joke to promote the show with, like when they're running promotions on like Comedy Central Radio or stuff like that.
Yeah. It's almost always a Costa. It's almost always Costa joke because he's fucking
funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, but they have a lot of trouble. Like, they usually run 2 jokes, I think, like to just kind of get like a little bit of a span on their audience.
Yeah.
But one of them is always like almost passes for having a punchline. It's just brutal.
I don't know. And I'll get off this because it's kind of a boring conversation, but it's like, you see what people are doing on their own, right? You see people's YouTubes, you see what you put out and the way you shoot shit and the way you make it look, and it's professional. And these guys work for fucking Viacom.
Big budget.
With endless amounts of money, and they're just doing like iPhone punch-ins in the corner of Trevor Noah's gigantic apartment to make it look like he's of the people.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so fucking weird, dude. The whole thing is just... It's surreal as shit. So me and Brendan are watching that. We're screaming at the top of our lungs at the TV. Also, during that time, there's a party downstairs of fist-fighting women, 100 of them. It was like all of our waitress downstairs, drunk now, just bare-knuckle boxing each other. So Brendan and I are like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, I'm shivering all this stuff, and I'm like, I can't deal with this. Turn off the TV. Brendan, turns off the TV. I fall asleep. Brendan apparently doesn't sleep a wink. He tries to put on like a Matthew McConaughey fucking meditation thing to slow his heart rate, but it sped up and gave him a boner.
God, he cannot afford to slow his heart rate. What is he thinking?
I don't know. Speeding it up is dangerous too.
It's all again a delicate balance.
Yeah. So I'm like, I go to bed, but I'm in that sleep where I'm in half dream, half reality limbo, where it's all hallucinogenic and none of it is rest. And I'm freezing while hot, while completely cocooned in cold water.
Yeah, dude, sweat. Erica and I, we had to put a towel down. That was how much we sweat out of the bed. Disgusting.
And I woke up at 3:00 and I was like, I like just achy as shit, looking for the Tylenol. I like shoved Sagalow in the face. He's like, "Come on, man! I finally fell asleep." And I'm like, "I don't care." Pop the Tylenol, wake up, I'm in a pool of fucking sweat. I had to leave early because I had to go. My buddy, his mom fucking passed away.
Oh, no.
And so I went to her funeral, and that is like, I don't know if it's because I have a kid or whatever, but I've been to a million funerals. I've had a lot of friends die. I've been through this before, and I didn't even necessarily know her very well, but I'm there for my friend because, that's his fucking mother, man.
Right.
Like, I can't imagine that. And so I'm like thrown into this now existential whirlwind of feelings and like, what legacy am I going to leave on my kid in terms of impact?
Sure.
And all that's, and then like I go home.
How was the drive when you were sick? Did Sagalow drive?
No, I drove. But I mean, I was okay. Like by the morning I was still okay. And I popped some Tylenol and I've been mostly okay.
Yeah.
But then I drive back, go to the funeral. I'm still feeling okay. I leave. I have to piss the entire time. And it's one of those like distended belly pisses where I don't have to piss if I don't move.
Yeah, but if you even to sit up straight, it's going to be like popping a water balloon.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to just fucking tear my entire bladder from my asshole to my navel.
Yeah.
So I'm like kind of sitting there through that. I drive speed home, get to hang with crew for like 20 minutes and then come back here. And I got here early. I ate Wendy's on the way. I felt like shit. And then I go outside and smoke and I'm like, oh God, I think I just reactivated everything.
Yeah.
Because I was fine. I was fine.
You wouldn't give yourself the day off either with the smoking. You're like, blunt.
I love it.
I love all these 5-star reviews. So you got to leave them if you haven't already. We got them cooking. Thank you, everybody, so much for doing that.
Can I pee? I really got to.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy. I'll take it away.
I love you.
And guys, make sure if you want to. Lewis told me this on Real Life Podcast the other day, but the 14-day free trial is going away. So if you want a 14-day free trial, if you're not already a Gas Digital member, it helps support the show. If you want to do that, go to gasdigitalnetwork.com. Use the promo code IGP. Only for the rest of this month. After that, I think it's going down to a 7-day free trial or something. But we have over 200 episodes. We got 25 now available on iTunes, right? That's officially live or whatever. So you guys can do that, and it also gives you access to all the other shows on the network, all their bonus content, all their paywall shows, and it gives you a discount to podcast merch.com. That's podcastmerch.com, and Alex will pull it up when she's done producing on a side note, and here it comes. And we got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got everything you'd ever want. And again, you can buy this even if you're not a member of GasDigitalNetwork.com, but you might as well, because look at this. Then you get all these free, not free, certainly not free. You got to make that very clear, not free merch, but you get a nice discount to it, which is nice. And that also helps us out a little bit as well. You can follow us on social media at Irish Goodbye Podcast, on Twitter, Irish Goodbye Pod. Send us an email, irishgoodbyepodcast@gmail.com. If you got a fucking crazy story, we'll read it on the air. And what else? You guys can go to MikeFeeneyComedy.com for dates. I do have dates coming in, a lot more cooking and in the works. I'm very excited. Now that I got the vaccine, I feel like I'm going to be back on the road. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/MikeFeeneyComedy. Subscribe to that. Go check out my videos, for the love of God. Instagram, TikTok, all that shit. I'm putting videos out every goddamn week, and it's free for you guys, free content. Just like it and share it. If you guys are on Twitch, if you like people watching, comedians playing video games, my name is NY Freshmaker. Follow me on that. And I think I'm in the process of getting a gaming computer, which is only going to make the shit look even crazier and nice. So you guys can do that. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can sign up for Twitch Prime for free. It doesn't cost you anything, and I get some kickback money. How fucking great is that? And other than that, something I need to announce too in terms of dates is April 23rd. I will be in Norwalk, Connecticut. So if anybody lives within a drive of Norwalk, Connecticut, I'm doing 2 shows, and I think it's called like BJ Ryan's or something like
PJ Ryan's.
PJ Ryan's.
Yeah.
It is a it's on
is it B?
I think it is B. It might be BJ Ryan's. Anyway,
Might be a BJ
that
Ryan.
April 23rd. Please come to that, or tell people to come to that, because I'm
Dude, your date looks like you have a mustache right now.
yeah, that's fun. So yeah, please come to that. It's very limited. I think it's only 40 seats, and we're doing 2 shows, so those tickets are gonna go fast, all socially distanced, whatnot. And so come to that. That'll be fun. Working on a new hour, and like I said, a ton more dates coming in, which I'm very excited about. Things are actually, maybe starting to get back to normal. So that's great. And Mike, what about you?
I got dates, MikeCannonComedy.com. If you're listening live today, Thursday, March 25th, or 26th, 25th. It's the 25th, right? Yeah. Tomorrow and Saturday, that means March 26th and 27th, Atlantic City at the Celebrity Theater in the Claridge Hotel. Myself,
right.
Michael T. Feeney, and Brendan F. Sagalow will be there. We're doing 2 stand-up shows. We're doing 1 podcast on Saturday, which is going to be super fun. I think that's at 5 p.m. on Saturday, followed by the stand-up show. Get tickets. Go to MikeCannonComedy.com, or you can go to AtlanticCityComedyClub.com. Then I got some Uncle Vinny's after that. Some more shit coming in as well. As things pick up, things are going to open up. So yeah, YouTube.com/MikeCannonComedy. Got a bunch of new stand-up up there from Tampa, from, more coming in, all that stuff. Oh, I'm filming a video next week that's going to come on my YouTube where I get to I go through a whole workout with an Olympian.
Oh, yeah, you're telling me about that. That's going to be fun.
Basketball workout. So he's going to play in the 3-on-3 Olympics in Tokyo, which is insane. So I get to fucking throw up on this guy and give him COVID right before his dream comes true.
Yeah.
What?
I was going to say, I thought you were done. I was going to ask Alex, but finish your up.
No, and patreon.com/scenariopod.
Check that out, baby. Here's the scenario available everywhere, and you can support the show even more by going to our Patreon. Mm-hmm. Alex?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at I am Alex Scar, and check out my podcast, Broad Topics, TOPIX, right here on Gas Digital Network with Kim Congdon every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m., or you could catch it for free on iTunes and YouTube every Monday.
Hell yeah. G-Mike?
Hi, I'm G-Mike across all platforms, and follow Irish Goodbye on the big social medias, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Please follow.
Love to see it. All right. I have some fun things here that I'm excited to tell you about. All short little snippets, and then I got a real
You got some story reels?
I got some, yeah. This. So here's something that I think this would be fun to argue about. And I think we'll be on the same side of this coin. A few weeks back.
Oh, don't ever assume with me.
If I've ever assumed one thing correctly, it's going to be this. So we are shooting at my apartment. We're shooting a sketch, Brendan and I, and Jacob, who always shoots our stuff. And we have this shot where we notice, it's Brendan's close up. And as we're doing that, we notice that there's a bag. The bag of Tostitos is just in the shot. It's just cluttering up the shot. So we're behind the camera, Jacob and I. So we go, oh, Brendan, can you just move those chips out of the way? And Brendan, the unassuming athletic juggernaut that he is, takes the chips with one hand and just fucking Boomer Esiason throws it as hard as he can across my kitchen, hitting it onto the granite countertop and just turning all of my chips into chip dust. Just a sharp, jagged bag of glass. He did that. And I go, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And he goes, I was like, why would your first instinct be to throw a bag of chips, especially Tostitos restaurant style, which are the most fragile chip out there.
Oh, they break under even the littlest duress.
And later that day, Erica makes guacamole. I'm trying to eat it, and instead I just have to I have to do that thing where I have to crane game, grab the chips, and douse my whole fingernails into it, and then suck it out of the bottom of it while getting little shards. And on top of that, I swear to God, one of the shards got lodged in my gum and cut it and made it bleed, and I texted him, "Fuck you," after that.
I've chipped a tooth doing that. Where
On a chip?
Yeah, on a chip where it, weirdly enough, chipped my tooth on a chip. It's stabbed in between, and I have bonding, and it just popped my fucking bonding.
Oh my
right
God.
out. It sucked. I've taken basketballs to the face, never chipped my tooth.
Yeah.
You name it. In terms of hard stuff to my teeth, and nothing ever happens. But if I fucking bite a poppy seed by mistake, this shit shoots out of my face. I have to go to the fucking dentist and spend $1,400.
As a person who is as big of a fan of food as Brendan is that not an egregious, a cardinal sin?
Well, this is Brendan. This is Brendan in a nutshell. Is having a baby. I've recognized that there's certain developmental stages that they hit, and impulse control is a thing that comes later on in life.
Oh.
Crew will just do that. He'll see one of my trinkets. I don't know, most fragile thing I could possibly have that requires delicate care.
Your collection of Fabergé eggs.
That's right, and I have a ton of them. And he'll
all really close to Crew's crib and access point.
I mean, they say Crew on them.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he grab them? He knows his name. So he'll pick it up. And I'll be like, "Oh, cool, man! Let me get it." I've mastered the don't freak out. Don't let him know that anything's going on. Oh, nice, dude! You picked that up. That's awesome.
I'll take this.
Please, because that's worth more than you. And he'll instead look at me, read right through it, and go, "Kobe," and just throw it and shatter. I mean, he's broken family heirlooms. He's shattered just stuff that means the world to me from my grandfather. It's insane, and he just does it with such he doesn't know why.
A letter your dad and grandpa both collectively wrote how proud of you were on a plate for some reason.
It's the only time they did it, and they were like, "If this breaks, you're on your own."
There's no record. We won't do this again.
So Cruz shatters that and then just tap dances in its crumbs.
Yeah.
But he trying to reason with him after, when I'm like, "Buddy, please don't throw my stuff, whatever." I'll have a conversation with him, and he's just he doesn't know. He's
sure.
I totally.
He is in fact a child.
Yeah, he's I didn't mean it. It's just this thing that my arm does. So sometimes I agree with it, you know. And that's Brendan.
Yeah, I guess
Brendan
throwing my chips.
Sometimes his brain sends a signal that his consciousness doesn't care to understand, so it takes a 5 while that signal shoots down to his arm, and he throws a bag of chips 700 miles per hour at the counter.
You guys do the old sound off in the comments if you think that throwing chips are acceptable in any form. But that was one thing that happened.
Well, I just want to know what he was going for, because was he throwing it to you as a
nope?
Brendan
He threw it
gets
to
that, and
the
he's
other side of the room.
Chuck Knoblocking, he gets the yips.
I will say this to his credit, is that after he threw it, and I went, "What the fuck, dude?" He was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry," but he blacked out and threw it at granite. He didn't even toss it. He overhand threw it.
Brendan also might be the good son. He appears gentle and
he is not a doctor.
No, that's the good doctor. That's the autistic kid doctor on ABC. The good son is Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, okay.
90s movie where Macaulay tried to step out of his good boy image and became this so convincing sociopathic murderer, but he appears angelic and blue-eyed and sweet as our fair Brendan, and deep down he is a volcanic toxic eruption waiting to happen.
100%. So I couldn't agree more. And see, we did agree. Yeah. So I have 2 other things that both are insane. Here's a fun one. It was probably... Oh, this was daylight savings time. So it was that night where it goes, that we were going forward 2 to 3 a.m. or whatever. So I think I was playing video games with my overhead headset on.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I know there's always buzz on Twitter about abolishing that, getting rid of the whole daylight savings thing. I kind of want to become a single issue voter on just that.
You want to get rid of it.
I just want it out. Like, it's so fucking damaging.
Arizona doesn't do it, which confuses me because then you're like, so for half the year, they're just in a different time zone than the rest of the people in their time zone.
Oh, yeah.
Very confusing.
That's hilarious.
Move to
That's
Arizona. It's not an
that's
issue.
such a funny just stance to take. It's
Yeah.
like, nah, as a state, we're not.
Yeah. None of that. No Mexicans. That's their 2 rules. Hard and fast.
Which is a difficult chore for them.
Very close.
Sure.
Yep. Oh. We will.
Chorizo.
So I have the headphones on. I'm playing Call of Duty. So it's a very, very loud video game. So any noise that I would hear outside of that would mean that the noise that I'm hearing is extremely loud. And I am hearing that. I'm hearing someone screaming. So I take off the headphones and I hear someone screaming outside. I go out onto my balcony and I look down and I mean, at the end of my block, I mean, this has got to be almost a football field away from me, maybe a little bit less. There is a guy screaming on his phone and provided some of the most fun I've heard in so long. And I'd like to read what I wrote down of him. So this was also, I want to remind you, this night was absolutely bitterly cold, strong wind. So he was screaming into the wind and I still heard it. Okay.
And he was red hot.
So
He
yeah.
was probably not even wearing a jacket.
So he is on his phone and he is screaming. And the first thing I hear is him going, "Why are you doing this to me?" Like that, okay? So I'm already all in, okay? He goes, "Why are you doing this to me?" And you could tell that she must have said, "Doing what?" Because it was a quick response. And he went, "Doing what? I'm standing in the cold, freezing at 1 or 2 in the morning because of my girlfriend." And then he goes,
Oh, no.
He goes, "My girlfriend, you're supposed to care about me!" And he's screaming so loud. And you ever just know someone's in just such a toxic relationship that he somehow like got locked? I can't even guess what's going on.
I know exactly
But the
what
fact
happened.
that he,
I've been there, brother.
The fact that he also is like, doesn't even know what time because of daylight savings time, which doesn't kick in for another hour, and is just freezing and screaming at the top of his lungs. But just the, "Why are you doing this to me? You're supposed to care," is so brutally funny to me. I was howling like that wind, laughing.
I really wish that like you could kind of harness the power of the wind and whip her voice from the receiver just directly into your ear, just so you know what's on the other side.
And I heard him just continue to walk away screaming, and it did. I'll tell you this, I don't think it got resolved that night.
I doubt it. I was a huge phone screamer in college. My first year at Geneseo was just such a nightmare because I was in that wild, toxic relationship that ended about as poorly as two people could, amicably end together, just saying the worst things possible that will hurt the other person, as just like publicly. I'd be in the fucking courtyard or whatever, just one of those fucking animals. And man, I miss that.
That's what that kid was. That was exactly that.
Yeah.
It was just,
I feel like that, it sucks because that's, it's a cancelable offense, right? At this point, it's like if they had the transcript of me screaming at my girlfriend and also the shit she was saying to me, that like all of our fucking anger and all that shit, it's like that could probably make me lose my job. And now that's going to be an experience that nobody's going to get to live with.
I have a feeling, Alex.
It shapes people.
Okay, I was working this like temp job for Macy's website. At one point, it was supposed to be like a 2-week long job or whatever, and this was when I was in my relationship with my ex. And I don't remember what the fight was over, but I was walking like it was in Manhattan on like 6th Avenue. I took my lunch break just to yell at him on the phone for an hour, and like I screamed, like it was really inappropriate. Like I was like lost my temper to the point where like I pictured like my my veins being out, like my face being fully red and everything.
Yeah.
And I tried to collect myself to go back into the job, but I'm assuming somebody saw me because when I got back, they asked me if I'd like to go home for the day.
Oh, that's the best. Have you ever gotten into a all-day text fight with your significant other that is like going so rapidly that you're just... I literally was making eye contact with my CEO once while just typing...
Burst texting.
Bitch, I hate you. I'm gonna, I'm leaving. This is it. I can't... This is just what I was talking about the entire time.
Yeah.
And I'm just texting.
It's moments like this. You start getting poetic.
Oh, my God. And I'm just pouring sweating down my face. And he's like, what's going on?
Every time your phone... you're like, here it comes.
Oh,
you just immediately know there's just tension on the other side of that line.
The amount of times I used to shadow box in the server room of where I used to work, it's insane. Women would go in there to pump their breast milk, and then I'd go in there and just fucking do a few rounds to get out my anger.
So here's a fun thing too that happened. Now this is just a classic Feeney fable, and
What?
like it's a you'll
Not
see,
true,
pal.
but with a lesson.
No, a fable isn't. Is fable fake?
Fables are fake because usually it's like
it's
the
an
lion
alliteration.
and the lion
It shows
and the
the
spider.
alliteration. I was gonna say a tale.
A tale.
But,
This
yeah,
all this
whatever.
time.
That's
I
my
think a
next.
fable is anything with like a moral ending.
Well, then this will be applicable. So I after the surviving the COVID vaccine and whatnot, and just kind of doing inventory, I'm like, man, my fucking entire closet is just, we need to do some spring cleaning. My entire closet is just, I can't even access it. I just have so much shit that you take off your shirt, you throw it next to it, and then it just piles and piles and piles on and stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to take everything out of my closet, do it all, fix it all back, donate a bunch of stuff or whatever. And
Marie Kondo, did you hold anything near and say thank you for your service and then give it away?
I didn't do that, but I did go, I'm done. And then threw it. So,
You piece of shit. You didn't thank your things.
no, it should thank me.
Oh,
so for
thank you,
giving it
Michael.
the experience
Thank
of
you, Michael,
travel.
for allowing me to touch your
Yeah,
skin.
for getting out of the closet, So
with you.
yeah. So I have one of the things that I have just has been sitting in my apartment for now years.
A suit for the Oscars.
Yeah, that is ready to go. But I have my old Xbox. Oh no, sorry. I have my Xbox 360, but I also have my PlayStation 3 and all of my games. And I already have a PlayStation 4, so I'm not gonna do anything with it. So what I did was I put it all on eBay. Erica and I took all these pictures. We put it on eBay. It's been up there with all of the games. It's like 22 games. It's over $1,000 when at retail.
Sure.
Of games that I was trying to sell for.
That's almost $9 GameStop.
I was gonna say I was trying to sell for like $150, but would take less money or whatever.
Yeah.
Like 4 controllers, the works, everything, And it's been sitting on eBay for over 6 months, maybe more, just sitting in the buy it now or whatever the fuck section, just waiting for anybody at all to even look at it.
Yeah.
So I eventually do this thing where I go, you know what? I've tried to make money from it. I'm not going to hold on to this for the next 30 years until it becomes a classic system. I need this shit out of my apartment. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take all the games. I'm going to take the PlayStation. I'm going to put it downstairs in our lobby, not in our garbage room, but I'm putting it in our lobby because there's a bunch of little kids that live in our building. Some kid, I know it's not Xbox One already or PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, but somebody...
It's a functional gaming system.
It's a functional gaming system, and I'm sure somebody will be likely to want it and have it. What are you making a face?
I think you missed an opportunity to do a giveaway sweepstakes.
To who? Who would want
To
it?
all of our listeners.
I think...
Stick them with the fucking 100 games.
But no, it was like, you know what? There's a bunch, even my super has 4 kids, and I'm like, I'm sure that they would one of them would love it.
Yeah.
So I put it down right in the lobby where, people in our building will occasionally put things like, hey, this is free if anybody wants this kind of a thing. So I go put it down there, and I'm like, I feel good about myself. Because I'm like, Erica ended up we made some trips down to the garbage room or whatever. And then 30 minutes later, one of the trips that we went down, we went to take the dog for a walk. 30 minutes later, they were gone. All of them were gone. And I was
Wow.
like, fuck yeah. I was like, that's great, you know? And I'm like, I'm so happy that, like, somebody took them already. This is great. And it wasn't, like, out on the street. It was so someone in our building is benefiting from it. Terrific. Love it. That's great. And then I'm starting to text with some of my buddies from home, and I'm just telling them about how, you know, like, I got rid of it
How good
and
of
all
a
this.
person you are.
What?
For
Yeah, oh, of
donating it to
course.
a
So
family.
that's I'm like, I've
like, this
single-handedly
kid-
lifted a family up, and
Kid's Christmas tree burned down this year. Got nothing.
now he has a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old gaming system.
But with all the fixins.
Yeah, so I give it. So I'm kind of proud of it, and I'm just like relieved that it's out of my apartment and not blocking me. I used to have to reach over it to get something out of my closet. So I'm very happy that it's gone. I'm like, this is great. So I'm talking to my friends, and I'm like, I tried to sell it on eBay. I'm telling them the whole story, and they go, damn, that's crazy. Like, I would have put it as like a reserve at like $1 and just best offer, whatever the hell
Yeah.
it sells for. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but then I got to ship it. That seems like a whole pain in the ass. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I'm just happy it's gone. I got my money's worth. I'm glad it's out of my apartment. And they were like, yeah. And then he goes, well, you better delete the eBay listing because it's still up. So that way, if someone buys it, like, you'd be fucked. And I was like, good looks. So I go on eBay and I look and I go to like the selling tab and I'm like, I don't see it on here. I never posted it on eBay. It's been in the drafts for the last 6 months. So now it was never on eBay. It was in the drafts the whole time. So I go, motherfucker, I could have sold that for money, goddammit. Who the fuck took it? What goddamn little greedy son of a bitch kid took my goddamn PlayStation 3 and all the fixins? So then I start getting into like almost a fight with Erica where I'm like, why didn't you tell me we didn't post it? She's like, oh, it's not my responsibility. I'm like, you're right, but damn it, someone's got to hear this. So I'm so mad about it. So Erica's like, they probably just threw it out. And I go, there's no way somebody threw it out. They're like, now I'm thinking like somebody took it and they're going to sell it on eBay and they're going to make the
where
money.
my brain
yeah,
went.
so I'm
I
like,
was
they're going to make the money.
Going to start an empire. with
Yeah,
this
so I'm like,
fucking
they're
thing.
going to make the money. So I'm like spiraling and getting so mad about it that Erica just goes, I guarantee she goes downstairs, she goes to the garbage room, and it's just sitting on top of the garbage pail. So it was never going to a kid. So my super saw it, was like, heave ho, threw it in the trash.
Out of
We
date.
took it out of the trash, and now it's back in my apartment in front of my closet, and I still haven't put it on eBay.
That's when you want to make your Irish goodbye.